What's up, gang? Kawaii50 here with another fake Grand Order servant breakdown. And man, Summer 4 just really snuck up on us, didn't it? I actually didn't even really plan to make this video today, but things are as they are. And of course, the first servant we need to talk about from Summer 4 is the free one. The one all of you are guaranteed to get and become completely immune to any sort of gacha salt trying to chase her. That is, of course, the free servant, the 4-star saber Katsushika Hokusai. Yes, this summer version of Hokusai, while also incredibly popular, is gonna be very, very good. I'll tell you just straight up front. And we're gonna go over how to make her that good, between skill priorities, craft essences, allies, command codes, all of the things you need to know to ensure that your Hokusai is ready to go. So if this video helps you out, be sure to like, subscribe, and please, for the love of God, get your Hokusai to NP5. I accept no excuses. Saber Hokusai is sporting a 2 quick, 2 arts, 1 buster deck with, of course, a very powerful single target arts type Noble Phantasm, which we'll get to in a sec. Her max HP of 11,873 is solid, as is her max attack of 9,389. All around decent stats out the gate. Her NP per hit at a 0.46% ends up honestly being pretty good, especially considering she's got 4 hits on her arts cards and the ability to arts Brave Chain, so NP shouldn't really be an issue with this servant. Her star absorption of 99 is average for the Saber class. Wish it was a little better, but we can make it better. And trust me, you'll need it. Hokusai's first skill is Divine Power Inc., rank C. This increases her Noble Phantasm gauge by 10 to 20%, and also grants 10 to 20 critical stars on activation. You are going to want to level this skill second, mainly for the NP steroid it provides, but this also gives Hokusai a little bit of a kick in the pants right out of the gate. You kinda want critical stars ASAP, and short of using supports or some other kind of craft essence to help you get them really quickly, you're going to want options like this very first skill. Having it be tied to an NP charge as well just really helps kickstart Hokusai and helps her do her optimal amount of damage that much faster. Hokusai's second skill is Father-Daughter Bond, rank B. This gives her a 300 to 500% increase to her critical star gather rate for not 1, but 3 turns. And it also gives her 1 instance of Guts that also lasts for 3 turns. You are gonna want to level this skill last, considering the critical star gather rate increase at start is already pretty good. But the main reason this skill is so strong is because it lasts for 3 turns. 3 turns of increased critical star gather rate. That is fantastic on a servant that really wants to crit, not just for damage, but for what I'm about to talk about next. Saber Hokusai's final skill is Penname Silk Patterned Octopus, rank B. This gives her 3 turn buffs, 2 of them to be precise. The first one increases her arts card effectiveness by 20 to 30%, which is all well and good for this arts focused servant. But the second buff is a little more unique. It increases her critical strength by 10 to 20% whenever she lands a critical hit. And the potential to do this lasts for 3 turns. And the following buff, of course, lasts for 3 turns. So you're going to end up eventually hitting an optimum turn off of this, where she might end up hitting, 20, 40, 60% increased critical damage conservatively. Remember, those critical strength buffs all stack, so this skill can actually get out of hand very quickly. This is yet another reason why we need to level this skill first. Just you watch. Some of the stuff I've seen this skill able to do, it gets pretty nutty. But Hokusai is also blessed with a very good Noble Phantasm, in the form of Shokoku Taki Megurui, rank B. This deals 900 to 1500% damage to a single enemy, which it's gonna be 1500% because she's free and you got her to NP5. On overcharge, this increases Hokusai's Noble Phantasm strength by 30 to 70%, and this activates before she deals any damage. So you're getting that built right into the Noble Phantasm. Having an NP strength increase that happens before damage is dealt, and also tying it to an overcharge effect for an arts type servant is a match made in heaven combination. You can go ahead and chuck this at the very end of your Noble Phantasm chain. Use your helpful buffs from, say, your Tamamo no Mai. Maybe you've got your Caster Gilgamesh out there reducing the enemy's defense. Maybe you've got Hohenheim doing some shenanigans, taking out the other opponents. But you can chuck this Noble Phantasm last and watch the easy NP5 damage rack up. So who do we pair Hokusai with to help her reach her true potential? Well, of course, we want arts-type supporters, if at all possible. This means your Artoria casters if you're on JP, your Tamamos if you're on NA at the release of this video, and of course, servants like your Caster Gilgameshes, as well as your Hohenheims and Mozarts. These are the servants that are really going to help her out the most. But there are also several other servants focused around arts, critical damage, and just general beneficial effects that can really help Hokusai bring the pain to the enemy team. Let's start, of course, with one of the most easily obtainable options in the form of Antonio Salieri. Now, Antonio Salieri provides a couple of bonuses for Hokusai. Of course, he has the ability to decrease an enemy's defense with his repulsive wildfire ability, eats up some critical stars, but Hokusai can easily take advantage of that in the following turns. He can also grant Hokusai some critical stars each turn, but the most important reason to bring this man is because of his Noble Phantasm, which on overcharge will decrease the arts resist for all enemies by 10 to 30%. And that is just amazing with this servant. You go ahead and chuck this Noble Phantasm in second, that gets you a 15% arts resistance reduction on the enemy, and then have Hokusai just follow up with her Noble Phantasm. It is just, mwah! Ratatouille couldn't have made a better dish himself. Hokusai is, of course, an arts-type servant, so it makes sense that the arts-type supporter servant would be an excellent pick to pair her with. So, Prince of Lingling, you are going to want this man on Hokusai's team. Of course, we've got his Noble Phantasm, Prince of Lingling in battle, decreasing NP charge, critical rate, granting a damage cut, and increasing the attack of all allies, Hokusai included, by 30 to 50%. But of course he has his phenomenal Demonic Visage buff as well. This can grant Hokusai at rank 10 on this skill a 20% increase to arts, a 50% increase to star rate drop, and a 50% increase to critical damage as well. Remember, we want Hokusai critting, so she can activate that buff and deal even more critical damage. Let's just go ahead and stack even more critical damage on top of that. We've talked about arts-type sabers, and we've also talked about servants that decrease the enemy's arts resist. What if we had somebody that did both? And so I introduced to you Virgil from the Devil May Cry series, more commonly known in this game as Saito Hajime. Saito's Noble Phantasm is Mugyo, and the main reason you want to use this is because it decreases the arts resist for a single enemy by 20 to 40% for 3 turns, and this activates before his Noble Phantasm deals damage. So you can chuck this in a chain with Hokusai's, and I swear, if the servant you're fighting isn't dead by the end of this, they probably have class advantage. But, of course, Saito is no slack himself, and he also has the ability to be a backup damage dealer for Hokusai, giving himself some evades, some effectiveness boosts, and of course gaining some critical stars, which Hokusai herself can use. Let's of course take a quick moment to do what needs to be done and talk about Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes, Gift of Insight, an amazing buff that can decrease the arts resist for all enemies by 10 to 20% for 3 turns, while also granting critical stars that Hokusai can use. You pair Gift of Insight with Hokusai's own star generating skill, that is 40 critical stars generated in a single turn. And you can go ahead and dump all those critical stars after using a chain of Noble Phantasms. Reduce the enemy's ability to fight back and finish them off with a crit chain next turn. This can be facilitated by using Elementary, my dear, which grants a defense reduction to all enemies and will grant Hokusai Ignore Invincible and Ignore Defense, which she does not have in her current kit. And as another bonus, let's chuck another 50 to 100% critical damage on top of that. And finally, of course, we have servants who can manipulate the card draw. And since Hokusai has 3 turns where she can go ahead and deal phenomenal amounts of critical damage that stacks ever higher and higher, we want somebody who can do that for her so she can maximize those short amount of turns. Either BB or Artoria Pendragon Ruler will be excellent picks to pair with Hokusai, but I personally think you should go with Artoria Pendragon Ruler. Mainly because Royal card will make it so command cards for a selected ally will not be drawn. You randomly get dealt those 5 new command cards, and you get to increase Hokusai's critical strength for 3 turns, as well as increase the ally's NP gain. This doesn't have the locked-in ability as BB's does, but the trade-off here is the fact that Hokusai gets an NP gain boost and that huge critical damage boost. That NP gain boost meaning she will have a chance to more easily use her automatically NP 5 Noble Phantasm. I just theory crafted this in my head, and I really feel like this is the best pick, though either of them will work. After looking over Hokusai's kit, we, of course, gotta consider craft essences. And with the way her kit functions, we want arts card effectiveness, NP strength, as well as critical damage. Having any combination of the 3 of these will help facilitate not only her overall damage when she crits, which you want her to do, but will also increase her NP gain and further increase the damage on her easily NP 5'd Noble Phantasm. Now, of course, when it comes to craft essences, you definitely want to consider freebie options. Players who've been playing for a while will likely consider Dive to Blue. This grants arts card effectiveness, this grants NP strength, and this also grants a starting NP gauge. But do not fret, new players, because there is a craft essence in Summer 4 that you get for free from playing the event that also works well on Saber Hokusai. So, new players, consider Heavenly Demon Princess. This grants NP damage, arts card critical damage, and also lets Hokusai begin the battle with 30 to 50% NP gauge. This craft essence is entirely free and synergizes incredibly well with her kit. So if you've got a friend that's just starting the day this event comes out and wants Hokusai, tell them they can get this craft essence for her entirely from the event as well. Of course, there are also gacha options. You can consider another ending, which grants arts card effectiveness and critical hit damage, but I would personally recommend New Beginnings, which grants arts card effectiveness, critical strength, and a starting 40 to 50% NP gauge. Combine that with Hokusai's NP steroid and some kind of arts support, you should be able to NP on turn 1 pretty easily. And finally, of course, we have command codes. You want to go all in on that critical damage if possible, gang. Using that critical damage means that Hokusai is benefiting even more from what she's already fishing for. She's fishing for crits in order to deal even more critical damage. Let's stack more on top of that. Lady of the Red Jewels command seal is a great pick for just a flat 10% increase to critical damage. You can of course also give her Majin-san if you end up happening to have that. This gives the engraved card plus 100% star absorption and also increases that card's critical damage by 10% as well. Truly a fantastic candidate to throw on an arts card. Also, for general critical damage, consider Heavenly Child of Karama. This is a 20% increase to critical damage, doesn't get any simpler than that. But you might be looking for some way to, say, debuff cleanse Hokusai, because she doesn't have anything to do that in her kit. For that, consider White Vessel's command seal, or the more easily accessible code Cure. Either of those will work. And finally, since she has an easy NP5, let's go ahead and consider Da Vinci-chan. This grants NP damage up by 15% for 1 turn when attacking with the engraved card. Remember, you have to use this before the damage is dealt, but this will stack with the bonus she gets from her Noble Phantasm, and the trade-off is always worth it. Overall, gang, Saber Hokusai is an absolutely incredible get for veterans as well as new players alike. She is an incredibly powerful, single-target-focused art servant that has abilities that some would say might even rival the likes of Munenori and Lancelot. She is extremely focused in her damage, very easy to NP5, and has a unique and fun-to-play with stacking critical damage buff that can really help you see some big numbers. If you have an opportunity to play Summer 4, please, at the bare minimum, get your Hokusai to NP5. She will be a very valuable addition to your Chaldea. But of course, I want to know what you all think, so let me know your thoughts about Saber Hokusai down in the comment section below. Let me know if there's any other craft essences you give her, allies, command codes, whatever works. Whether you're a new player or a veteran, you should be excited for Saber Hokusai. Honestly, just like I am, she's going to be a very good pick. If you want to talk more about Saber Hokusai, or, well, any FGO servant, my Discord is of course always open. Huge thanks as always to the patrons on Patreon and the followers and subscribers on Twitch for their continued support as well as all of you that have subscribed on YouTube. I really, really appreciate every single one of you. This is Kawaii50. I hope you all have a phenomenal day, and I'll see you all in the next video.